Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I'd like to continue on with our discussions of 1970s disaster movies. And I'd like to focus our attention, if I may, on another very grand, epic, spectacular entertainment from this particular era and from this particular genre. This time the film is from 1974. The producer and director is Mark Robson. The executive producer is Jennings Lang. Written by George Fox and Mario Puzo. Music by John Williams. And it has another spectacular, splendid, formidable cast that includes, for example, Charlton Heston, Ava Gardner, Lorne Greene, Geneviève Bujold, Barry Sullivan, Lloyd Nolan, Richard Roundtree, George Kennedy, Marjoe Gortner, Victoria Principal, and Walter Matthau, and others. This is a true classic of the period and the genre. And whenever people mention 1970s disaster films, this film comes up every time in the conversation. This is one of the greats. And it was presented in Sensurround, and so that was, of course, applied to enhance and augment the overall effect on the viewer of this particular disaster, these events. It's all in the title, and it is the film Earthquake. Earthquake is one of the classics of the genre. It is so because it has so many elements of the spectacular in terms of the presentation of the disaster sequences, set pieces. And it's not just one disaster. It is, of course, this huge calamity of an event that is this really dangerous earthquake that hits the Los Angeles, California area in the context of the film. But from there, we have various other emergency situations, disaster situations that emerge. Some are further, say, natural disaster type of situations. Others are perhaps human-made disaster, chaotic situations. And so it all stems from the title of the film, this earthquake. And in this really context of wide expanse and geography and environment, in this particular context, we see how our various groups of characters that we have met along the way, how they try to cope with these situations, how they try to survive, how they try to prevent or avert further disaster or panic, how they meet and cross paths with each other, how old relationships are reestablished, how new ones are forged, how certain rivalries become even more tense and dangerous and menacing, and how certain romances become further strengthened, and how truths, real truths of, say, character and emotion are ultimately revealed in these life or death situations that are presented, these disaster circumstances, these calamities, all stemming from earthquake. And so it's all here, my friends. It is an action-packed spectacle that is filled with so many special effects set pieces, and also we see a vast array of characters that are affected, and we follow them, each of them in their own specific character arcs, and we follow them through the running time of the film and see how their arcs are established and resolved. And that's part of the suspense. We wonder what will happen to them at the very end, and so that is part of the engagement and the tension and the dramatic tension of the film Earthquake. Part of this, of course, is also the fact that we are dealing with a wide array of a cast of characters here, which adds to the dramatic tension, the melodrama, and yes, the wonderfully layered soap opera dynamics. And so we have, for example, those characters, or the group of characters played by Charlton Heston, Ava Gardner, and Lauren Green, so their relationship dynamic, which is very interesting. And then you add into the mix the character played by Geneviève Bujold, and what that does to the various dynamics, especially the Charlton Heston character and the Ava Gardner character. My goodness, this is soap opera gold, as it were. And then we have other groups of characters, George Kennedy's character and the sort of crisis, the life crisis that he seems to be undergoing, and then Victoria Principal and Marjo Gortner and Richard Roundtree and others, and the way in which the network is maybe somewhat separated from each other at first, but then, as we say, as these events hit, how these various casts of characters, how these characters themselves, how they intersect, cross paths, and what happens as a result. This is amazing, amazing stuff. Now, part of the fun of films from this particular era and this genre is just the potential wide variety of sources of entertainment that these films could offer. And what do I mean by this? So first of all, there is the source of entertainment that comes from the suspenseful, tense, special effects filled action set pieces that accompany films like this. And in particular, we see that exemplified very well in the film Earthquake, because we have a lot of set pieces that affect various parts of the community environment. So this is a wide-ranging, wide-affecting disaster. And in that way, I think it does a really good job in giving us a sense of various, say, structures and architecture, interiors and exteriors, and the various little mini adventures that occur with each of these characters given their specific environments or situations. And then we see how, what the issue is or what the danger is, and how these particular characters in these little mini adventures will try their best to overcome such particular danger at that given moment. And so there are these, there's this network of subcategorized mini disasters within the framework of this film. And I find that very interesting, and how that presents, I think, so much information at once. And the film, I would suggest, does a really good job in balancing each of these separate storylines. We know that there is an overarching connective tissue in terms of the environment and then the earthquake, but then we also understand that there are these parallel stories that go on. And the film, as I say, does a good job at going from one story to another story to another story, in a sense that we get intercutting in the, I think, carefully applied use of editing, but also a balanced sense of the type of drama information that we are privy to and we are provided with in terms of the pacing of the story. And so I think that's one of the strengths of the film. It also gives the film a sense of scope, that epic nature. As I say, so many characters over a wide expanse are affected almost at once, or at once indeed, and so that gives the sense of the reach of the drama and spectacle and disaster so much depth, and that is, I think, the power of this type of cinema. It's the extreme significant impact that is felt by, or that is suggested by the real depth and scope of the reach of the disaster itself. And then we have, as I say, the cast of characters. There's this wonderful, I mean, I was indicating it earlier, there's this wonderful helping, if you will, of soap opera dynamism. And a lot of that could be, it's very entertaining in and of itself. And also it could sometimes pour into the area of cheese or camp, but that's also part of the charm of films like this. Even when the situations might seem to be quite almost ludicrous or over the top, and the performances or certain character situations might further suggest that, be that as it may, I think that still suggests, or that still provides potentially anyway, another really fine source of entertainment. That cheese or camp factor is also very important in a film like Earthquake. And also the type of sort of level or layering that the film provides us, I think, is very effective, because it really, as I indicated, it has a wide expanse in terms of the reach of the disaster, but also it has various mini adventures. Also, it has various developments that occur because of the earthquake. And so it's not just the earthquake, but various other subsequent disaster or emergency situations arise. And so that means then that the film is always keeping us on our toes and giving us new sets of information and these obstacles that need to be overcome. And also what's very suspenseful is that not all of these emergency situations are natural disaster related, directly anyway. There are some situations that are human, that are because of, say, human folly, or perhaps due to, say, some of the dangers that could arise due to certain human relationships. And so that also forms some aspects of the emergency situations that result after the earthquake in question. And so my point here is that this film presents, in, I think, multi-directions and many dimensions, so many sets of peril and danger and disaster almost all at once. And you throw into the mix this cast of characters, this melodrama, soap opera dynamic that is put to the test to the max when we have these disaster elements essentially build and build and build and build upon each other. Then you have also those elements of the camp or the outrageous or ludicrous, and that just adds to the further potential of the entertainment value of this film. And so this is a wide-reaching, epic scope of a film in this particular genre, 1970s disaster movies. And so this is a classic film, a really, really classic film. Every time I watch it, I'm always amazed, because there's so much going on. There are so many little mini stories and mini action set pieces going on that I always I'm always reminded of something. In other words, there's so much going on that I feel like every time I watch it, it's almost like watching it fresh or new for the first time, because I'm always reminded of something. Oh yeah, that happened. Oh yes, I remember that little story that happened there, or that detail there. And it seems to be able to pack all this stuff within its running time in such a balanced and bold and entertaining way. And we still get all these stories that we can follow and to their conclusions or resolutions. And that is even more remarkable when one realizes, again, just how many characters that this film is juggling, and all the story arcs that this film is juggling at the moment, and all the disasters and the wide expanse of the environment that this film is essentially juggling all at once. And it does it so well and so memorably. And as I say, every time I watch it, I am entertained so thoroughly every single time. This is a classic of the genre. It is one that is spoken of, I think, very much so when people speak about 1970s disaster movies, and for good reason, because it is one of the classics. It has that great sense of scope, it has that great sense of melodrama, and it has that great sense of action spectacle set piece, and it's all there in the title. This is the film Earthquake. And before I go, I should mention that this is the really great Shout Select Shout Factory Blu-ray release, and it has the theatrical version and also the slightly longer television version. And so it makes for very, very fun entertainment in terms of the various versions and the supplemental material that's available here. So Another great release here, a really fun time, another exemplary film from 1970s disaster films, Earthquake. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.